Are you getting started with CloudKit and see a little bit too much console spam? In this video, I'm going to show you how we can help manage some of the console spam of a CloudKit or CoreData app or SwiftData app, because they're all under the hood spewing out a lot of stuff. So I've got this app here. If we go ahead and run it the first time, it's going to install it, run it on my iPhone. Anytime you're doing this, work with a real device. It's going to be the best thing. The simulator is not going to work as well. It won't get like cloud updates or push notifications, as far as I'm aware right now on iOS 18. And this is on iOS 18. Sorry, iOS. I'm in Xcode 16 beta 4, but my iPhone is still on iOS 17. That doesn't really matter because this is going to be the same issue regardless of the platform. You're going to have all of this debug data, which is great if you care about it and not great if you don't care about it. Like the one cool thing we're seeing right here is this is our default store. So if we actually wanted to see it on disk, we could go to this file. So let's just try that real quick. So I go into Finder and we go to Go To Folder. We can just paste this in, press enter. Of course, that doesn't work. Oh, this is on a real iPhone. I have to be on the simulator. Rats. We'd have to download the actual app bundle to get access to this. If I run this on the simulator, we're going to see the same type of stuff. Let's try this one more time. We're getting a little sidetracked here, but all this spam, like some of this is important, some of it isn't. And like, yep, that didn't scroll. Let's try again. Okay, so cool. So we've got this location, and we're just going to copy and paste this over to Finder. So let's try this one more time. Go to Folder. And oh, that last slash was messing it up. So now we can see this is our CoreData database. And then I've got some CloudKit stuff here and some other stuff. So it's a cool way to find it. It will change every time. So if you have a Finder window, it should maintain its path, even though the bundle IDs are going to be changing to that location. Regardless, we've got a lot of stuff here, and I don't know what any of it means because I'm new to Core Data. So let's make this bigger. Some of this is probably useful if you care. If it's working, then maybe less useful. But when you have problems, you probably want to see it all. So you can see it's doing stuff. We've got some potential issues because I've made some potentially bad changes. And those are some of the things that you just deal with Core Data. Now, if you don't want to see all of this, let's figure out the solution. So you're going to edit your scheme. And in here, I'm going to show you these different attributes here. So if we want to like make this quiet, I think we have to turn all of these on. So there's CloudKitDebug, there's logging, ConcurrencyDebug, MigrationDebug, SQLDebug. So I'm just going to turn them all off by setting them to 0 by doing it in this format. So you can pause the video, type these in, or you can go down in the comments below to, or not the description below to get access to these different strings. So I'll just copy all of this. Hopefully that copies. And it worked. Cool. So you can get access to those. If we run it again with that new scheme setting, we now get a lot less issues. We get a lot less spam. So that's great, but we are having some issues. And so if you're seeing issues like this, it could be that your data model isn't in sync with the cloud. And there's two things that we can do here to fix these types of issues. So I made some breaking changes on my model. If you make breaking changes on your model in development mode before you lock it down for production, you're going to have crashes, or you're going to add new fields or anything like that. It's going to like mess things up or potentially break things. And so I added this coffee type. It's not fully a model object that I've linked to yet. So I think more things will break once I actually turn on this model thing for the other type. Not entirely certain. Oh, maybe because it's an enum, I don't need to do that. I probably don't need to do that actually. But this is causing issues. And so we also have to keep in mind is if you have different devices communicating, let's think about this. Okay, so you're going to start seeing CloudKit errors because the data is not the same. So let's take a look at one of these, unrecognized NS dictionary. So like something's weird here. Let's see what happens if I were to take this out. See if this cleans up. It might be totally corrupted because now the on-device model is different, but it might not be. Okay, see how that's nice and friendly? Great. If I put this back in, that's when we start to see issues. So now I'm getting pass nil for a non-optional key path for the brew method. So we're going to run into all of these. I put on a breakpoint right now for Objective-C, but I don't think I have breakpoints on, do I? No, we got a fatal error. Okay. So like all kinds of fun things can happen. So this is crashing in the macro code for the sort. And this is because everything in CloudKit, I think, needs to have a value. And we just got rid of something. So now there's like this disconnect. So anytime you have issues like this, your first solution is to try and delete the app. When you make model changes like this, hit delete. You run it again, see if it works. Okay, it's working, but we're seeing these errors. Now, these, I think, are because I loaded an old version of the schema from my iPhone just to see what would happen. And that, I think, corrupted my CloudKit database. So I think there's a way to delete the schema or do something to the schema. Something got messed up. So like another tool that you have besides deleting the app from either your real devices or your simulators is to reset the environment. Now this is going to ask you if you want to do this, and you have to be careful because you're going to lose all the data in the environment. Hopefully, if you're in the development environment, which we are, all that stuff can be recreated easily. But if it can't be recreated easily, that's where you have to be a little bit mindful about doing this thing. So there might be a easier way to do this, but it might take more steps. This is like the quick and dirty method that seems to have worked for me. So if I hit reset, we'll see what happens. This is going to take probably a little bit. So don't assume that all these operations are going to be instantaneous. And then don't go opening an old version of the app. So I have an old version of the app running on my iPad that does not have this change, and that may mess up the schema. I'm not entirely certain. So now I think nothing gets registered until we actually open up. It's going to auto-create like these indexes. I don't think we have anything here. If we go to saved queries, search for coffee, we see there's nothing. It's the saved query is not working. Get rid of the test query that I have here. These things don't exist yet because we haven't tried syncing anything. So let's go ahead and run the app. I'll hit stop. We'll hit run. I could be totally wrong about this one. Zone does not exist. So we're seeing some initial stuff. Zone was deleted. I think the next time I run this, so let's try running it one more time and see if it, okay, so now we don't have issues. So like this is where it's like really, this is one of the reasons I've been slow to get into CoreData and SwiftData is because there's so many nuances, and even CloudKit, there's so many nuances with how all this works together. Okay, so now if we refresh our records, we don't have this record yet. I think we have to create some data, but we're like in a fresh state. So now if I hit plus, this should then, I think, all of a sudden create all this. And we should have a record if I can go to the saved query. I don't know if this is going to work. And then we have the same problem that we had before. So it looks like you're going to have to then jump through this hoop, which is frustrating. We have to go into index. I have a different video on how to fix this. What did that say? Record name queryable. I don't know why I have to do this just to see my data, but anytime you reset, and it's all the way at the bottom because I have so many fields, and hit add. And then that's saved. Give it a little bit. We should see it in the list down here. Takes a second or so to appear. It may not be instant. So then if I go back to my saved query, well, actually, I'll show you how to get to the saved query. I went to private databases. The default zone doesn't seem to have anything. So I thought that would, but it doesn't. Then we go to our coffee recipe and we hit query and we have one entry now. So now we finally have some data. So if you don't see the data, just go through it again and see if it fixes itself. Awesome. So now let's check out Xcode again. I'm going to rerun it now that we have one piece of data. So when we start it up again, it should fetch that data. And you see that we have less errors here. Okay. And there's one more. Oh, there's more. I'm not showing you. There's one more thing. Like if you're getting too much of this stuff, you can filter this out. So this is related to how I think CoreData or SwiftData are unarchiving data for my, I believe it's because I'm using these enums. I'm not positive. It's either the enums or the date are causing this. My guess is it's the enums. So this is not me, but if I wanted to filter this out, what could we do? We could filter by the subsystem. And then those would go away. Oh, I'm already doing that, but not well. So let's double click on this. So this is the other tool that you have, and you can't actually see it. So I'm going to have to move this around. Let's move this over and up so you can see what I'm doing here. So if you look at the very bottom here, we have the ability to filter different things, and it added this one for us. You've got this list, and you have a recents. If you want, you can clear recents. I find it would be really nice if they persisted between app launches. If you quit Xcode, the recents go away, which is annoying. But this lets us filter the results. And so we've got these two filters. If I get rid of that, and then I get rid of this and press enter, this is what unfiltered looks like, which I guess is pretty much the same. If I do com.apple and press enter, I don't know why that doesn't have the right dark mode. This is going to filter just to Apple, and then I have to click it again and do is not. And that doesn't work either. For some reason, it doesn't match on any. I actually have to click on is not subsystem. Oh, maybe that makes sense. Maybe it's doing some kind of weird Boolean logic there. So you have to select the subsystem, and then you have a clean output. If I go in here and set a breakpoint, and we go ahead and run, click on something, we hit that breakpoint. If you start doing P commands, I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if I can print out anything here. I don't think it's going to work. No, I guess it worked. Cool. I don't know what I printed out though. Oh, cool. Print out the whole object. Great. That worked great. The problem is once you hit continue and you're starting to do everything here, I guess it makes sense, but it's frustrating. You would lose all this output the moment you turn filtering back on. And so you're going to see a bunch of stuff start to print out again. So you start to see the output that we hid. And if you want to get rid of that, you have to come back to your filter and then go back to your most recent, which should be at the, is it going to be the bottom or the top? The top. And now, that's super odd. Why doesn't it just keep the filter on if it's going to still show me this? I thought it wouldn't show me this anymore. I don't know why it has to take it off. Maybe we should file some bug reports about that because that's super frustrating to me. Every time I wanted to filter, like I want to keep the filter on if I'm debugging. All right, so that's working with the filter to clean up your input output. We looked at a few different ways. So the first way was editing the scheme up top, turning these things on to limit the console spam from CloudKit, CoreData, all of those things, all their debug spam. The other thing was learning how to filter out some of Apple's stuff and then fixing issues by either deleting the app or resetting your environment. And maybe there's a better way of deleting the schema or record type. Like maybe we could just delete the record type and hopefully the schema regenerates. Like, I don't know. I don't know how all this works. So maybe we don't always have to reach for reset environment. That's my only point. If you learned something, let me know in the comments down below. If there is another way to like reset things, if they're funky because you made model changes to your development environment, let me know in the comments below so that I can learn with you. And I will see you in the next video talking about something about Xcode. So if you want to learn more, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.